My son-in-law tried to turn my grandson against me on Christmas Eve, whispering venomously, "Grandpa is a miser. He only spent $300 on your present." My grandson smiled and added, "And a $6 million trust fund." My son-in-law collapsed onto the sofa, pale as death. You won't believe what happened next. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. The wine glass hit the cream carpet before I understood what my grandson had said. Red liquid spread in a perfect circle around Michael's feet, while he stared at Ethan like the kid had just announced aliens were landing on the lawn. My son-in-law's face went from ruddy to chalk in the time it took me to set down my coffee mug. What did you just say?" Michael grabbed the arm of the couch. His knees buckled. Sarah dropped the sweaters she'd been folding. Mine actually something she'd bought me last year that still had the tags on, and crossed the living room in 3 strides. "Mikey, baby. What's wrong?" Ethan looked at me, then at his father, then at the spreading wine stain. The kid had the decency to appear confused, but something in his eyes said he knew exactly what he'd done. He just didn't know why it mattered. "The $6 million trust fund," I said slowly. "You told him about that last month, after we did that college visit to Northwestern." Ethan shrugged. "You said I could tell people when I turned 17. I turned 17 in November. I had said that 15 years ago when I'd set up the trust. I'd written a letter explaining everything. He'd get access at 19. He could talk about it at 17. At the time, 17 seemed impossibly far away. Now here we were, and my grandson had just weaponized my own instructions." Michael made a sound somewhere between a cough and a sob. His hand pressed against his chest, not clutching, more like he was checking to see if his heart was still there. "I'm calling 911. Sarah already had her phone out. Her hands shook so badly she dropped it twice before managing to unlock the screen. The paramedics arrived during Oh Holy Night from the speaker in the corner. 3 of them, all business, checking vitals while Michael waved them off with one hand and grabbed Sarah's wrist with the other. The Christmas tree lights blinked red and green across his face. He looked like a man drowning in his own living room. My son-in-law hit the couch like a sack of organic potatoes from Whole Foods. Dramatic, expensive, and completely unnecessary. "Sir, we need to take you in for observation." The lead paramedic, a woman with kind eyes and no patience for protest, had already pulled out a blood pressure cuff. "Your vitals are all over the place. I'm fine. Just Michael tried to sit up. Failed. Just give me a minute." Sarah rode in the ambulance. I followed in my Honda with Ethan in the passenger seat. Radio off. Heat blasting against the December cold. The kid texted the entire drive, thumb moving across his screen like he was taking notes. "Grandpa, you okay? Should I be asking you that? I didn't think he'd freak out like that." Ethan glanced at me. "Did I mess up? No. You told the truth. Sometimes the truth breaks things that were already cracked." Rush University Medical Center's ER waiting room had better entertainment than most Chicago theaters. At least these performances were free. A couple argued about parking validation near the vending machines. A kid screamed about not wanting a shot. Someone's phone played the Jeopardy theme while they waited for news about someone named Margaret. I pretended to study the vending machine options. Overpriced candy bars and chips that had been there since the Bush administration, probably while watching Michael's reflection in the glass. He'd convinced them to let him walk around, said sitting made him anxious. Now he paced the hallway outside Sarah's view, phone pressed to his ear, free hand cutting through the air like he was conducting an orchestra of his own panic. His voice carried, not loud, but hospitals have acoustics like theaters. I'd learned that during my years at Chicago Shakespeare Theater. Sound travels in unexpected ways. I need 2 more months. Okay, Just 2 months. Pause. His fingers touched his chest again. No, I can't explain right now. Another pause. His voice dropped lower. I angled toward the Snickers. The old man destroyed everything. Look, I'll figure it out. I always do. The old man, that would be me. I bought a Snickers I didn't want. And returned to my seat. Ethan looked up from his phone. Dad. Okay. Doctors say it's not his heart. Probably stress. He's been stressed a lot lately. Ethan's thumb hovered over his screen. Like really stressed. Has the kid met my eyes? Something passed between us. Understanding maybe, or recognition. Ethan had spent 17 years watching his parents. He knew when the script had changed. My phone buzzed. Text from Ethan. Grandpa, you okay? Sorry about what happened. Dad's been weird lately. I looked at him. He was watching me. I typed back. I'm fine, kiddo. Not your fault. See you tomorrow. Yeah, we should talk. Just us. By 11:00, they declared Michael stable, panic attack, not cardiac event, and sent us home with instructions about stress management and follow-up appointments. Sarah hugged me in the parking lot. She smelled like hospital soap and fear. Thanks for being here. Dad. Always. I sat in my car afterward. Engine running. Heater fighting the December night. Through the hospital window, 3 floors up, I could see Michael pacing again. Phone to his ear, free hand gesturing. Whatever he thought I'd destroyed. It wasn't an investment portfolio. Ethan's text glowed on my screen. We should talk. Just us. I put the car in reverse and drove home to Lakeview. Christmas lights blinking past my windows all the way. Sarah's kitchen cost more than my first car, but the chaos looked like my college dorm. Mail scattered across the marble countertop. Dishes piled in the sink. Nice dishes. The kind you register for. The kind that announce you've made it. A stack of medical bills weighed down by a coffee mug that said, World's Best Mom, in fading letters. Thanks for coming by. Dad. Sarah poured coffee with shaking hands. Dark liquid splashed onto the counter. She wiped it once, twice, 3 times. Same spot. The paper towel shredded under her fingers. How's Michael? They're keeping him for observation just to be safe. She turned. Mug clutched in both hands like it might escape. We're fine. Just some temporary cash flow issues. Mikey invested heavily in this business opportunity, and it's taking longer to... What business opportunity? I don't know all the details. He handles the finances. I set down my mug before I could throw it. Sarah. You know what he told me. Her voice went sharp. Not angry. Worse. Defensive. That you've always looked down on him. That you constantly make little comments about where he came from. About his family not having money like ours. The words hit like a slap. My throat tightened. I never, didn't you? Because he's been saying this for years. Dad. Years. And I defended you. But now I'm wondering if maybe I shouldn't have. She turned back to the counter, her shoulders hunched forward. Through the window over the sink, I could see their yard professionally landscaped. Probably cost a fortune, and currently full of fallen leaves nobody had time to rake. Sarah, I have never looked down on your husband. He thinks you have, and that's what matters. Isn't it what he thinks? I wanted to argue, wanted to list every time I'd welcomed Michael, every dinner I'd paid for, every conversation where I'd asked about his work, his interests, his dreams. But none of that mattered if he'd spent 7 years rewriting history in my daughter's head. I love you, I said instead. That's what matters. She didn't turn around. I left through the garage. Ethan intercepted me at my car, glancing back at the door to the house like he was checking for cameras. 5 minutes. He slid a folded piece of paper across the hood. My 17-year-old grandson acting like he'd seen too many spy movies. We stood among boxes of Christmas decorations and lawn equipment that hadn't been used in months. Ethan's breath fogged in the cold air. He keeps asking about the trust. The kid's voice dropped low, like super casually. Right, hey buddy. When did Grandpa set that up? Does he ever talk about it? Could you access it early, if you really needed to? That kind of thing? How long has this been going on? Since maybe October? It got worse after Thanksgiving, and he's been acting sketchy on his phone all the time, leaving the room to take calls. Have you told your mom? Ethan looked away. His jaw worked. She's so tired all the time. I didn't want to add to it. I put my hand on his shoulder. Squeezed. You did the right thing telling me. Did I? Because Dad's in the hospital and Mom thinks you hate him and everything's kind of falling apart. Things were falling apart before you said anything. You just turned on the lights. The drive home took longer than it should have. I missed my exit off I-90. Had to loop back at Dan Ryan. My knuckles ached from gripping the steering wheel. By the time I pulled into my apartment complex in Lakeview, my hands had started to shake. Margaret Sullivan appeared at my door within 10 minutes of me getting home. She held a casserole dish like it was a weapon. Knowing Margaret, it probably was. That woman could make evidence out of a grocery receipt. That's my concerned neighbor face you're seeing, not my actual face. She pushed past me into my apartment, set the dish on my counter, turned and fixed me with eyes that had spent 30 years as a private investigator. What happened? My daughter thinks I'm a snob who hates her husband. Are you? No. Then someone's been writing your dialogue for you. She crossed her arms. Want me to find out who I should have said no? Should have handled it myself. Kept it in the family. Not involved a neighbor who already knew too much about everyone on our street. But Margaret had retired from investigative work years ago, and the look in her eyes said she missed it. His name's Michael Reynolds. Married to my daughter Sarah. Lives in West Loop. She pulled out her phone. Started typing. Spell that for me. 2 hours later, my phone rang. I'd been staring at my ceiling, counting the water stains from the leak last spring that the landlord still hadn't fixed. The number showed Margaret. Charles, sit down. I'm already sitting. Good. So, your son-in-law has $200,000 in debt from online sports betting. Papers rustled on her end. That's just what I found in 2 hours. You want me to keep digging? I closed my eyes, opened them. The water stains hadn't moved. Yeah, I said. Keep digging. Margaret arrived 15 minutes later with a folder thick enough to stop a bullet. She spread documents across my coffee table like a crime scene investigator laying out evidence. Papers overlapped. Some highlighted in yellow. Post-it notes in her sharp handwriting. Marking sections. Bank statements. Credit card bills. Screenshots with timestamps. She'd printed everything. This is just 2 hours of work. Charles, 2 hours. She tapped a printout showing a list of offshore betting sites. Your son-in-law isn't just in debt. He's in a hole so deep he's hitting magma. $200,000. The number still didn't feel real. To people who don't file paperwork with the IRS, if you catch my meaning. Look at this. She pointed to 3 different web addresses. Basketball, football, even cricket. Who bets on cricket? Someone desperate to win anything. She pulled out another sheet. Search history from a browser cache that she'd obtained through what she called a friend in it. Legally gray, she admitted, but admissible enough for family purposes. My hand hovered over the paper, finger tracing the phrases without touching it, like the ink might burn. How to access trust fund early. Can you break a trust fund legally, changing trust conditions, all searched between midnight and 3:00 a.m. over the past 2 months. Cricket. He bet on cricket. I'd lived 70 years without knowing Americans could gamble on cricket. And now I wished I could go back to that innocent time. There's more. Margaret set down a bank statement from October 2021. A wire transfer for $100,000 to something called Coinbase Exchange. He told Sarah this was a startup investment. It wasn't. She pulled up a Bitcoin price chart on her phone, overlaid it with the transaction date, the peak of the market. He bought at the peak, right before the crash. He probably thought he was investing in his family's future. Her voice softened slightly. The same statement shows $250 to Bright Horizons daycare. He was paying for Ethan's preschool while gambling their savings. I sat back. The theatrical masks on my wall, gifts from my years at Chicago Shakespeare Theater, stared down at me. Comedy and tragedy both felt appropriate. He Googled, "Can you break a trust fund legally at 2 a.m? The internet never sleeps, and apparently neither do desperate sons-in-law. At least he used incognito mode. Points for effort. I guess. I need to talk to my lawyer. Margaret nodded. I'll leave you with these. I made copies. She stood, then paused at the door. You want me to keep digging? Is there more to find? There's always more. Question is whether you want to see it. I looked at the papers spread across my table. Sarah's life mapped out in debt and desperation. Everything. I need to see everything. After she left, I texted Robert Hayes, my attorney, friend from 15 years of serving together on the community theater board. He'd helped me set up Ethan's trust. Now I needed him to protect it. Need legal advice, trust modification. Urgent. His reply came fast. Can call in 30 m. This about your family matter you mentioned at poker night. Yes, it's gotten complicated. They always do. Talk soon. I spent the 30 minutes pacing my apartment. 6 steps to the window, where Christmas lights blinked across the street in perfect holiday rhythm. Turn. 6 steps to the kitchenette where Margaret's casserole sat growing cold. Turn. My feet wore a path in carpet that was already worn when I moved in 3 years ago. Robert's call came at exactly 8. Lawyers are punctual. What's going on? Charles, I told him everything. Ethan's revelation at Christmas. Michael's collapse. Sarah's exhaustion. Margaret's findings. The gambling. The crypto loss. The searches about breaking trusts. Robert listened without interrupting. Another lawyer trait. When I finished, he exhaled slowly. You want to add a manipulation clause, it's possible. But Charles, this could blow up if not handled delicately. The courts don't love conditional trusts that feel punitive. It's not punitive. It's protective. If someone tries to use my grandson to access money that's meant for his education, his future, I get it. I'm just saying we need to be careful. When do you want to implement this? Yesterday? Let me draft something. Don't talk to anyone about this until I call you back. Not Sarah, I need to tell Ethan. He deserves to know he's being used. Robert sighed. I heard papers shuffling. Keep it vague. Details can wait. Robert charged $350 an hour to tell me to be careful. I could have gotten that advice from a fortune cookie for free. But the fortune cookie wouldn't file the paperwork. At 8:45, I called Ethan. Sarah was working her evening shift at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Michael was still at the hospital. Or so I thought. The kid answered on the first ring. Grandpa, everything okay, yeah? Buddy, just wanted to check on you. Yesterday was rough. I'm sorry about dropping the trust fund thing like that. I didn't know Dad would... Not your fault. Actually, that's why I'm calling. Your dad's been asking you about the trust. Right, a pause. Yeah. How did you know? Because I'm working with my attorney to make sure nobody can pressure you about this money. It's yours for college, for your future. Your dad or anyone else won't be able to touch it or manipulate the terms. That's good. That's really good. Grandpa, we'll get through this. I promise. Thanks. I love you. Love you, too. Kiddo. I set the phone down, feeling lighter than I had in 2 days. Protected Ethan. Started the legal work. Faced the truth. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was that Michael had installed monitoring software on Ethan's phone 3 months ago. Parental safety, he'd called it. Checking for inappropriate content. Tracking location. Standard concerned parent stuff. Across town, sitting in his Lexus in a Jewel Osco parking lot. My son-in-law listened to our entire conversation through the app on his phone. His face glowed blue-white in the screen light. His knuckles went white on the steering wheel. The knock on my door came at 9:45. 3 sharp raps. Too late for neighbors. Too early for emergencies. Through the peephole. Michael stood in the hallway. Hospital bracelet still on his wrist. Eyes red. Not from crying. From staring at a screen too long. He raised his hand to knock again. It trembled. I opened the door. Michael didn't wait for invitation. We need to talk, old man. I know what you think about me. His voice cracked. And you're right. I stepped back. Michael walked into my apartment like a man entering confession. He paced my living room. 3 steps, turn, 3 steps back, hands gesturing while he talked. I'd watched actors rehearse for 30 years. I knew the difference between feeling emotion and performing it. Michael was doing both, which made it more dangerous. I've been carrying this for so long. The debt, the shame. He stopped, pressed his palms against his temples. You know where I came from. Charles, Cicero Trailer Park, my mom cleaning houses. I swore I'd never be poor again. Never let Sarah feel what my mother felt. So, you invested? I kept my voice neutral, curious, not accusatory. I thought I had a system. Sports betting, analytics, algorithms. He looked up. His eyes were genuinely wet. I won at first, enough to believe I'd cracked it. Then you lost. Everything and more. I kept trying to win it back. That's what gamblers do. Right. One more bet. One more chance. I moved to the kitchenette, made coffee because it gave me something to do with my hands and an excuse to turn my back on him while I thought. The grinder was louder than necessary. The beans smelled like the theatrical makeup room at Chicago Shakespeare Theater. Bitter. Dark. Familiar. A memory surfaced. June 2016. I'd stopped by Sarah's house with birthday presents for Ethan. Found them at Lincoln Park instead. Michael had crouched in the grass, patient as a saint, adjusting 8-year-old Ethan's grip on a baseball, fingers along the seams. Buddy, there you go. Now, when you throw, step with your opposite foot. Ethan's throw went wild, rolling into the duck pond. That's okay, Michael laughed, jogging after it. Even the cubs throw wild sometimes. Let's try again. Sarah sat beside me on the bench, swollen with the pregnancy they'd lose 3 months later. He's so good with him, she said softly. And he was that day. Michael was just a father teaching his son baseball, buying them ice cream after, making terrible dad jokes that had Ethan giggling. No performance, no angle, just love. Something happened between that day and this one. Something broke him, or maybe just revealed what was always underneath. I poured 2 mugs, brought them to the living room. Michael took his with both hands like it might anchor him. How bad is it? I asked. He produced a printed document from inside his jacket. A debt repayment plan. Spreadsheet format. color-coded with pie charts. Pie charts. Nothing says I'm serious about debt repayment like decorative graphs. The paper was still warm from the printer. 36 months aggressive payments. I can do this. I just need time. And I need you not to tell Sarah. Not yet. She's my daughter. She's my wife. His foot tapped against my floor, rapid, anxious. Let me fix this. Let me be the one to tell her on my terms when I'm already making progress. Please. I should have said no. Should have called Sarah right then. But something in his eyes, desperation mixed with something that might have been actual remorse, made me hesitate. 1 month. His exhale shook. Thank you. I swear I'll make this right. He should have left. Should have taken the win and walked away. But gamblers never know when to stop. There's something else. He leaned forward, elbows on knees, the picture of humble supplication. Sarah's always wanted to open her own urgent care clinic. I've been researching locations, business plans. If we could get a small loan, $60,000 to cover the startup costs. It could change everything. She could quit the hospital, work for herself. There it was, the actual play. $60,000 is a lot of money. Michael, I know. But think about Sarah. This could give her the life she deserves. I can't give that to her right now. But you could. For her, not for me. He should have auditioned for Chicago Shakespeare Theater. The hand-wringing, the strategic pauses, the single tear tracking down his cheek. I'd seen worse performances get standing ovations. The lie tasted bitter on my tongue. I'd need to pull it from a fixed deposit. Give me a week. A week, absolutely. Take your time. He stood, extended his hand. And Charles, thank you for hearing me out. You didn't have to. I shook his hand. His palm was damp, after the door closed. I stood at my window, watching his Lexus pull away, red taillights disappearing down the rain-slick street. My son-in-law drove a $70,000 car and asked me for $60,000 to help my daughter. The math wasn't mathing, as Ethan would say. I called Robert at 11:15. He just left. Whole performance tears repayment plan. The works asked me for $60,000 for the debts, he said, for Sarah's clinic. Like I'm stupid enough to believe that. So we move forward with the trust modification. Yes, start the paperwork. Make it ironclad. Papers rustled on Robert's end. A pause stretched longer than it should have before we do this. There's something else you need to know. I did some digging through public filings. Michael has been making withdrawals from Sarah's retirement account. Her 401k from the hospital started small 6 months ago. Now it's over $35,000. The coffee mug in my hand finally trembled. My daughter doesn't know. No, he's the account beneficiary. He has legal access. But ethically, he's stealing from his own wife. Through my thin apartment walls, I could hear my neighbor's television, some Christmas movie where everything works out, where families are whole and happy and no one steals from the people they're supposed to love. I gripped the counter edge. Robert, I said quietly, voice steady as a surgeon's hand. We're not just protecting Ethan anymore. We're going to get my daughter's money back. Every cent. And we're going to make sure Michael Reynolds understands exactly what happens when you steal from family. I spent Friday designing it. Saturday I sent it. 30 years of forging prop telegrams, vintage letters, and fake identification papers for Tennessee Williams Productions finally paid off. Who knew community theater would prepare me for financial warfare? The document took 8 hours to perfect. Chase Bank, letterhead, real bank, real logo, downloaded from their website and recreated pixel by pixel. Case number format matching legitimate banking investigation codes I found buried in financial regulation documents online. Generic legal language about unauthorized third-party inquiries detected during routine compliance monitoring. My dining table became a prop department, Cream-colored paper stock from Office Depot. Heavyweight 24B. The embosser I'd kept from my theatrical design days. Unused for 3 years. Now pressing a convincing seal into the lower right corner. My fingers smoothed the edges, checking for imperfections. The signature block read, Marcus Chen, Trust Compliance Officer. Marcus Chen didn't exist, but his title sounded exactly right. I printed 2 copies, mailed them certified mail, one to Sarah, one to Michael. Different timing. Maximum confusion. Saturday morning, 9:15. My phone rang. What did you do? Michael's voice came through so loud I held the phone away from my ear. The trust. It's frozen. You blocked it. You vindictive. I didn't do anything. Michael, what are you talking about? Don't play stupid. Chase Bank sent a letter saying there were suspicious access attempts. I examined my fingernails. Needed trimming. Suspicious access attempts. Why would someone be trying to access Ethan's trust? They didn't. I don't know. But you're behind this. I know you are. The bank investigates these things independently. If they found suspicious activity, maybe you should ask yourself who might have been making inquiries. He hung up. I poured more coffee. Sarah's call came at 2 that afternoon. Her voice was already crying. Dad, Mikey says you froze the trust. He says you're punishing him for asking about a loan. Sweetheart, I can't freeze a trust. That's not how trusts work. Only the bank can take action if there's evidence someone tried to access it inappropriately. Why would the bank be investigating unless someone gave them reason to silence? Then quieter. I don't know. Has Michael been asking questions about the trust making calls to financial institutions? I don't know. Maybe for planning purposes. That's normal. Right, I wanted to tell her everything. Wanted to explain that her husband had been researching how to break the trust at 2 a.m, that he'd installed spyware on Ethan's phone, that he'd stolen $35,000 from her retirement fund. But Robert's advice echoed, let them unravel themselves. I'm here if you need me, I said instead. 400 Sarah found the credit card statements in her mailbox between a Bed Bath & Beyond coupon and a pizza menu. $200,000 of debt sandwiched between 20% off bath towels and a 2-for-1 pizza deal. The universe had a sense of humor. Margaret had mailed them anonymously. No return address, just the statements highlighted in yellow where his name appeared, where the amounts climbed. I wasn't there for the confrontation, but Margaret was next door. The walls in West Loop might be expensive, but they weren't soundproof. Identity theft, Michael claimed. Someone stole my information, opened accounts in my name. Then we call the police. Sarah said, file reports. No, not yet. I already contacted the credit bureaus. It takes time to dispute. He spent 2 hours on hold with Chase Bank's fraud department trying to verify a document that didn't exist. I know because Margaret could hear him shouting from next door. At 11 that night, my phone lit up. Text from Ethan. Grandpa found something on Dad's computer. Sending screenshot. The image loaded. Messages between Michael and someone saved as JP East Chicago Financial. Reynolds final warning. $200K by February 15th. Or your wife gets photos of every bet you placed, every cent you lost, every lie you told. We're not playing anymore. My fingers tightened on the phone. When did you find this tonight? He left his laptop open. Should I show Mom? Not yet. Let me handle this. Are you safe? Yeah. He doesn't know I saw it. Keep it that way. Delete our messages after reading. I stood at my window watching Christmas lights blink across the street. December 28th. February 15th was 6 weeks away. Michael had 6 weeks before his world detonated, and he knew it. My reflection in the glass showed a man who looked older than 70, tired but not finished. I texted Margaret. Find me the contact for East Chicago Financial. The bookmaker. We need to meet. 3 dots appeared then. You're buying his debt. I typed back. I'm buying his leash. Jason Mitchell's office sat above a pawn shop on Michigan Avenue, accessible through a side door with peeling paint and a broken security camera. The decor consisted of 1 metal desk, 2 folding chairs, and a calendar from 2019 featuring monster trucks. Either he didn't care about ambiance, or he understood that people coming here had bigger problems than interior design. Jason was mid-40s. Iron handshake. Dead eyes that calculated everything. The kind of man who'd break your legs without anger. Just business. You're the father-in-law, Margaret mentioned. He gestured at the empty chair. Sit. I sat. He had folders spread across his desk. Michael's betting history. Every game. Every loss. Every desperate double down. And you want to buy Reynolds' debt because family matters. Private. I don't care about family. I care about getting paid. 170 for 200. You taking a loss, I'm taking control. Different kind of profit. Jason smiled barely. I respect that. But understand. You buy this. You own the consequences. He can't pay you either. That's your problem. He'll pay eventually. I'm patient. Most people aren't. That's how I stay in business. I slid the cashier's check across his desk. $170,000. I had liquidated part of my portfolio Tuesday morning. Felt my retirement fund shrink with each signature. Worth it. Jason examined the check with a jeweler's loupe, held it to the light, finally nodded. His assistant, large man with neck tattoos and a notary stamp, produced documents, debt transfer agreements, legal enough for enforcement, illegal enough to never see a courtroom. I signed. Jason signed. The notary stamped. I paid $170,000 to become a loan shark. My mother, rest her soul, would have been horrified. Or proud. Probably both. Pleasure doing business. Jason stood, extended his hand again. Reynolds gets a message today. New creditor, we're out. Thank you, don't thank me. You just bought a man who can't pay. Good luck with that. I drove home feeling something between satisfaction and nausea that evening. Sarah discovered the monitoring app. Her phone had died at work. She'd borrowed Ethan to check her schedule. Swiped through his home screen looking for the browser and found it. Family Track Pro. Activity log showing every call, text, location for 3 months. Her fingers froze over the screen. Then she started scrolling. Saw herself listed. Saw me listed. Saw Ethan's entire life mapped out in 15-minute intervals. The confrontation happened at 7. I know because she called me at 11, voice hollow with exhaustion. Dad, did I wake you? No, sweetheart, I was up. What's wrong? I found Mikey put tracking software on Ethan's phone. He's been monitoring everything for months. I kept my voice neutral. Oh, honey. And the credit cards. The trust investigation. Now this. I keep trying to believe his explanations, but she broke full crying now. But maybe you were right. Maybe you've been right the whole time and I was too stupid to see it. You're not stupid. You loved him. You wanted to trust your husband. That's not weakness. What do I do? Whatever you need to do to feel safe. To keep Ethan safe. I'm here. Whatever you need. After we hung up, I sat in the dark thinking about Michael's world collapsing. Fake trust freeze. Real credit card exposure. Debt sold to unknown creditor. Wife discovering his surveillance. Everything unraveling. I should have seen it coming. At 2 a.m., something scraped against my apartment door lock. I sat up in bed. Didn't turn on the light. Listened. Metal on metal. Amateur hour. Cheap lock giving way under pressure that understood theory but not practice. The door opened. Footsteps in my living room. Heavy breathing. I emerged from my bedroom in pajamas and bathrobe. Turned on the lamp. Michael stood there holding a baseball bat. Aluminum name brand. Probably cost $300. He could have saved money and brought a stick. He picked my lock at 2 in the morning with a baseball bat, and the desperation of a man who'd clearly never committed a crime before. You broke my lock. That's going to cost money. The bat raised but trembled. Where are they, the debt documents in a safe deposit box? Did you think I'd keep them here? You bought my debt from Jason. You're insane. I'm practical. You owed money. I had money. Now you owe me. He advanced 2 steps. The bat wavered. You're destroying my family. I'm trying to save my daughter from a man who's been lying to her for years. Big difference. I'll go to the police. Breaking and entering. You can't. Go ahead. Then explain to them why you're here at 2:00 in the morning with a baseball bat. And while you're at it, explain the debt, the gambling, the tracking software on your son's phone. The bat lowered slowly. His shoulders slumped. The fight drained out of him like water through a sieve. What do you want, the truth? Tell Sarah the truth. All of it. The gambling, the debts, the money you stole from her retirement fund. His head snapped up. How do I know everything? Michael. The only question is whether she hears it from you or from me. You have 48 hours. He backed toward the door, stumbled over his own feet, caught himself. She'll leave me. She might, but she'll definitely leave you if I'm the one who tells her. At least this way you have a chance. He fled down the stairs. I locked the broken door as best I could, wedged a chair under the knob. Dawn began to lighten my windows. I sat on the couch, still in my bathrobe, watching the sky turn from black to gray to pale blue. My phone buzzed. Text from Sarah. Can't sleep. Keep thinking about everything. Coming over at 8:00 a.m. Need to know what you know. I type back. I'll put coffee on. The bat clattered against my hardwood floor. Loud final. Michael slid down the wall to sitting position, head in his hands. Not the theatrical crying from part 4. This was ugly. Snot running, shoulders shaking, hands trembling so badly he couldn't wipe his eyes. I couldn't stop. His voice came out raw. Every loss I thought the next bet would fix it. I had systems, analytics. I was so sure I'd figured it out. I just needed one big win, and I could pay everything back. And Sarah would never have to know. My hand moved toward him. Involuntary, human compassion. Then froze midair. Sarah's retirement fund. $35,000 stolen while she worked double shifts. I pulled my hand back. But you kept losing every time and every time. I thought, just once more and I'll quit. He looked up, eyes red and desperate. I wanted to be worthy of her, to be the man she thought I was, the man she deserved, by stealing from her. I was going to replace it before she noticed. I just needed time, needed to win. You can't win back what you've already lost. Michael, that's not how this works. What do you want from me, the truth? If you really love her, tell Sarah everything today. The gambling, the debts, the money from her retirement, all of it. Or I tell her myself, and I show her proof. He left 20 minutes later. I wedged the chair back under my broken door lock. Very secure. Very medieval. The Home Depot down on Michigan Avenue opened at 6:00 a.m. I'd be there at 5:55 waiting like they were giving away flat screens on Black Friday. I sat on my couch watching dawn light creep across my theatrical mask collection on the wall. Comedy and tragedy both applied. At 11 that morning, Michael told Sarah his version. I wasn't there. Didn't know until her call came at 12:30. How could you? Her voice came through my phone like a weapon. You bought Mikey's debts. Sarah, let me explain. Explain what? that you're using his mother's medical bills to blackmail him to destroy my marriage. My stomach dropped. His mother's medical bills, Sarah. That's not, don't lie to me. He told me everything. You've been orchestrating all of this. The trust freeze, the credit cards, buying his debts to force us apart. That's not what happened. Please, if you just listen. I'm done listening to you. You want to control my life so badly that you'd financially destroy my husband. I never thought you were capable of this. I was wrong about you. Sarah. The line went dead. I sat with the phone in my hand for a full minute. Didn't move. Barely breathed. His mother's cancer treatments. The man's mother was alive and well in Phoenix, posting pictures of herself at slot machines with the caption, "Lucky day, but sure, dying of cancer." Very convincing. Michael, method acting at its finest. I'd spent 70 years learning human nature through theater, psychology, observation, and my own daughter still chose to believe a car salesman over me. Maybe I should have sold Toyotas instead of doing makeup for Hamlet. The shadows lengthened across my apartment. I didn't turn on lights, didn't make coffee. Just sat there, hands gripping my knees, watching darkness creep in from the corners. At 6 p.m., my phone rang. Ethan. Grandpa. Did Mom call you? She did. My voice sounded hollow, like it was coming from someone else's throat. Dad told her some story about his mother's medical bills. His Grandma Reynolds lives in Arizona and she's fine. I looked her up on Facebook. She posted selfies from a casino yesterday. Your mother believes him because he's good at lying, but I can prove it. I have an idea. Grandpa, it's crazy, but I think it could work. I closed my eyes. I don't want you involved in this more than you are. I'm already involved. He used me to get to your money, and now he's using Mom to shut you out. We need proof he can't talk his way out of... What kind of proof? His confession on video from his own mouth. We met at a coffee shop on Wicker Park the next morning. Sunday. The place smelled like espresso and wet coats. Ethan slid a small box across the table. I looked at it. Didn't touch it. Spy camera. Amazon Prime. 2-day shipping. He opened it. The camera was barely bigger than a quarter. I'll tell him you offered me a $120,000 cash right now for a car. He won't be able to resist. He's your father. This will, he stopped being my father when he put spyware on my phone. When he tried to use me to steal from you. Ethan's jaw set hard. This isn't about revenge, Grandpa. It's about protecting Mom. She needs to see who he really is. The video could destroy their marriage. The marriage is already destroyed. Mom just doesn't know it yet. We're not breaking them up. We're showing her the truth. My hand hovered over the camera. Still couldn't touch it. You're 17. You shouldn't have to. I'm 17 and I've been watching him lie to Mom for months. Watching her work doubles while he gambles away her retirement. I'm done watching. Ethan ordered a spy camera on Amazon. Prime shipping. 2-day delivery. When I was 17, the height of espionage technology was holding a glass against the wall to hear through it. Now kids could conduct FBI-level surveillance with their allowance money, Monday after school. While Sarah worked her shift, Ethan positioned the camera on the bookshelf in Michael's home office behind a decorative globe, angled at the desk. His hands were steady, more confident than mine would have been. The video arrived in my email at 6:00 p.m. Monday. Duration 8 minutes 43 seconds. I watched it 3 times. Ethan casual. So, Grandpa called. Said he wants to give me $120, 000 cash for my birthday. And a car. Michael looked up from his laptop. Instantly alert. $120, 000 in cash. Why cash? I don't know. Tax reasons, he said. I could use it for whatever I want. Michael stood, moved closer to his son. That's generous. Very generous. Listen, buddy. I need to talk to you about something important. Man to man. The way he said man to man like he was granting Ethan membership to some exclusive club like they were equals. Your mom and I were going through a rough patch, financially temporary thing, but rough. If I could borrow that $120,000 from you just for a few months, I could clear some debts that are causing serious problems. What kind of debts? Michael sat on the desk edge, relaxed, confident. The truth, gambling, sports betting. I thought I had a system, analytics, probability. I was good at it for a while. Then I wasn't. I kept thinking the next bet would fix everything, and it just made it worse. You told Mom it was medical bills for Grandma. I know. I lied. Your grandmother's fine. The debts are from betting. And if I don't pay them soon, the people I owe, they'll go after your mom, after our house. I need that money. Ethan, to protect her, to protect you. You're asking me to lie to Grandpa. I'm asking you to help your family. Sometimes adults make mistakes. Big ones. I need you to help me fix mine before your mother finds out. I closed the laptop harder than necessary after the third viewing called Robert. I need a favor. Multiple favors. What kind? The theatrical kind. Tuesday morning. I met David at Chicago Shakespeare Theater. He'd been assistant director there for 20 years. Helped me create period-accurate documents for dozens of productions. So, you need fake investor letterhead. David grinned. This is the most interesting Tuesday I've had in months. We created Summit Capital Partners embossed logo that looked like a mountain having an identity crisis. Heavy cardstock professional invitation to private automotive investment opportunity presentation. David helped me print 20 copies. You want these delivered courier to his dealership. Make it official. Michael is going to lose his mind when he realizes that's the idea. The Palmer House Hotel Conference Suite cost $450 for 2 hours. Worth every cent. Wednesday afternoon. I arrived early. Robert was already there setting up his laptop. Doctor. Elizabeth Carter, gambling addiction specialist I'd found through Robert's contacts, arranged pamphlets on the table with clinical precision. We checked watches synchronized like we were planning a bank heist instead of an intervention. My phone buzzed. Text from Robert. Sarah confirmed she's coming. Suspicious, but coming. 15 minutes before 2:00 p.m. Sarah arrived. She stopped in the doorway when she saw me. Of course you're here. Her voice was cold. Robert, if this is an ambush, it's information. Robert said carefully. Please sit. You need to see this before your husband arrives. My husband. What? He'll be here in 10 minutes. Sit down. Sarah. She sat stiff, defensive, ready to leave. Robert opened the laptop. Your son recorded this yesterday at home. He sent it to your father, who sent it to me. Ethan recorded. Her face went pale. Watch first. Judge after the video played. Ethan's voice. Michael's immediate interest. The $120,000. The confession about gambling. The lie about protecting family. Sarah's hands gripped the table edge, knuckles white. The video ended. She sat silent. Mrs. Reynolds. Doctor. Carter began gently. I'm a therapist specializing in be quiet. Sarah's voice shook. Just be quiet for a minute. We waited. At exactly 2 p.m., footsteps in the hallway. The door opened. Michael walked in wearing a suit that cost more than my monthly rent, carrying a leather portfolio. He'd probably bought specifically for this meeting. The smile on his face. Confident. Ready to pitch. Died faster than Wi-Fi in a basement. He stopped. Looked at Sarah. At Robert. At Dr. Carter. At me. Please sit down. Mr. Reynolds. Robert gestured to the empty chair across from Sarah. We have something you need to see. Sarah's voice came out quiet and dangerous. Close the door. Mikey, you're going to want privacy for this. Michael's hand fumbled behind him, found the door handle, pulled it shut with a soft click that sounded like a cell door locking. He moved toward the chair, didn't sit, just gripped the back like it was the only thing keeping him upright. Robert turned the laptop toward him. "This video was recorded yesterday at your home." Michael's eyes snapped to me. Realization hitting. "Your son," he whispered. "My grandson," I corrected quietly. Robert pressed play. Ethan's voice filled the room. "So, Grandpa called. Said he wants to give me $120,000. The video played for 8 minutes and 43 seconds. Sarah didn't look away. Ethan's voice casual and innocent. "So, Grandpa called. Said he wants to give me $120,000. Michael on screen leaning forward eagerly. $100,000 in cash. Sarah's tears fell onto the conference table, dark spots spreading across polished wood. She didn't wipe them, just stared at the laptop screen while her husband's voice filled the room. The truth. Gambling. Sports betting. I thought I had a system. Michael's tried standing. Robert's hand landed on his shoulder. Firm pressure sat him back down. I kept thinking the next bet would fix everything. Sarah whispered something. Might have been no or might have been nothing. Just sound escaping. The video ended. Silence stretched. Traffic noise filtered through the hotel windows. Buses' horns. Chicago's afternoon rhythm continuing like the world hadn't just stopped. Robert spread documents across the table. Bank statements, credit reports, betting site screenshots, withdrawal records from Sarah's retirement account. Highlighted in yellow. $36,500, Robert said. Taken from your 401k over 6 months. Starting last July. Sarah's hand slammed the table. Laptop jumped. Coffee cups rattled. We all flinched except her. You stole from me from your own wife. Michael's hands came up. Palms out. Sarah, I was going to replace it. Before you noticed. You needed to stop lying. Her voice cracked. You looked me in the eye and told me about your mother's medical bills. Your dying mother who's posting casino selfies in Arizona. I was ashamed. I couldn't admit I'd failed. That I'd become what? What did you become? Michael's voice went barely audible. My father, the man I swore I'd never be. Doctor. Carter intervened gently. Professional calm. Mrs. Reynolds, what your husband has is a clinical addiction. That doesn't excuse his choices, but it explains the compulsive behavior. How long, Sarah asked, still looking at the laptop, not at Michael. 3 years since the crypto crash. 3 years of lies. Doctor. Carter slid a brochure across the table. Sunset rolling hills. The word serenity in elegant script. Looked like a spa where rich people did yoga and discovered themselves. Michael was going to hate it. Good. Recovery is possible, Doctor. Carter continued. But it requires total honesty, structured treatment, and accountability. I'll do it. Michael reached for Sarah's hand. She pulled back. Anything, any program. Just don't leave me. Robert produced another document. Legal paper, dense paragraphs, signature lines at the bottom. Mr. Reynolds. This agreement stipulates full repayment of Mrs. Reynolds' retirement funds within 6 years. Monthly installments from your salary. Mandatory attendance at Gamblers, anonymous with documented proof. Complete financial transparency and zero contact with your son's trust fund. Any violation triggers immediate divorce proceedings with financial penalties. Michael read the document. His hand shook. 6 years. I can't pay $35,000 in 6 years on my salary. Then you should have thought of that before stealing it. Sign or don't sign. If I sign this, Sarah finally looked at him. If you sign, we try. If you don't, I file tomorrow. He picked up the pen. Had to try 3 times before his hands steadied enough. The signature came out shaky, barely legible. The door opened. Ethan stepped in. He crossed directly to me. Bypassed his father entirely. The kid hugged me hard, face pressed against my shoulder. You saved us. You saved Mom. I put my hand on his head. You saved yourself, buddy. You're the one who got the evidence. Will Mom be okay eventually? Maybe. I hope so. Sarah stood, moved to her son. They held each other while Michael sat at the table, hands flat on the signed agreement, looking at nothing. We left separately. Robert first with Dr. Carter, then Sarah and Ethan. I lingered, watching Chicago through the hotel windows. Gray sky, rain starting, traffic lights reflecting on wet pavement. Michael spoke from behind me. You win. Satisfied. This wasn't about winning. This was about stopping you from destroying my daughter. I love her. Then prove it. Keep your promises. Stay away from gambling. Be the father Ethan deserves and the husband Sarah married. And if I do all that, then maybe someday she'll trust you again. But I won't. I'll be watching. He left without responding. I stood there wrong. I sat on the window ledge looking out at the city. Victory should feel different. Bigger, something. This felt like standing on wreckage. 1 week later, an envelope arrived at my apartment. No return address. Inside, a photograph. Michael at a Vegas casino, arm around a woman who wasn't Sarah. Date stamp in the corner. 2019. I studied her face. Attractive. Younger than my daughter. Michael's smile was genuine. Not performing. Just happy. I set the photo down carefully on my kitchen table. Stared at it for 20 minutes without moving. Could show Sarah. End the marriage permanently. Destroy him completely. Could. But I was tired. So tired the victory I'd worked for tasted like ashes. I locked the photo in my desk drawer. Insurance just in case. Because trust, once broken, never fully heals. You just learn to live with the cracks. 200 a.m. February. The photograph glowed under my kitchen lamp. 6 years ago. Vegas, the year Ethan turned 10. Sarah had mentioned Michael had a work trip. Dealership conference. Right. My finger traced the casino name in the background. The woman's face. Michael's arm around her waist. Not casual, intimate. I picked up my phone. Charles, Michael answered, wary. 3:00 a.m. His time. Tomorrow morning. Barista Caf on Wicker Park. 10:00. Just us. Why, what's this about? I hung up without answering. The caf smelled like burnt espresso and wet wool. February rain hammered the windows. Michael arrived 5 minutes early, looking worse than at the hotel. Thinner, gray at the temples I hadn't noticed before. I slid the photograph across our small table. Recognize this, his face drained. Where did you get this? Doesn't matter. What matters is what it shows. You Las Vegas 2019. That's not Sarah. He reached for it. I pulled it back. Who else knows about this? Nobody. It was a mistake. One weekend. It didn't mean anything. Does Sarah know? He shook his head. No, please. She's just starting to trust me again. If she sees that, she won't. Nobody will if and only if you keep every single promise you made in that hotel room. I'm trying. I am. I've been going to meetings, making payments. Keep trying every day for the rest of your life if necessary. I leaned forward because if you slip, if you gamble again, if you lie to her again, if you even think about manipulating my grandson or touching that trust money, this photo appears on Sarah's breakfast table. Clear, crystal. His voice came out hollow. One more thing. If I ever find out you've cheated on her again with anyone for any reason, I won't show her the photo. I'll show her a dossier. Every bet, every lie, every woman, every secret. And then I'll help her take you for everything you have. He nodded. Couldn't speak. Why, he finally asked. Why not just show her destroy me completely? You hate me. I sat back. Considered. Because revenge isn't always about destruction. Sometimes it's about control, about teaching lessons. You got your lesson. Michael, you lost your freedom, your privacy, your power. You're on a leash now. Mine. And you'll stay on it as long as you're married to my daughter. Why give me a chance, not for you, for her? She's trying to save her marriage, trying to believe you can change. I'm giving her that chance, but I'm also giving myself insurance. He left. I sat there with cold coffee and the photograph. Back home, I burned it in my kitchen sink, watched edges curl and blacken. The smoke detector chirped twice before the paper turned to ash. March arrived with rain, Chicago's default weather. My 71st birthday fell on a Tuesday. Sarah insisted on cooking dinner at my place. Brought supplies and reusable bags. Ethan carrying the wine. Michael came too. Washed dishes without being asked. Moved carefully through my apartment like a guest who knew he was tolerated. Not welcomed. Nathan called from Tokyo. His face filled my iPad screen, propped on the bookshelf between theatrical masks. Happy birthday. Dad, wish I could be there. You're here enough. How's Tokyo rainy? Like Chicago? Some things are universal. Ethan showed me a video game, explained controls I'd never remember. I made appreciative sounds while Sarah laughed at something in the kitchen. Michael washed dishes like a man disarming a bomb. Slowly, carefully, terrified of breaking something. He'd broken enough already. Sarah hugged me in the kitchen doorway. Held on longer than necessary. Thank you for not giving up on me. Even when I said those awful things. You weren't awful. You were a wife trying to believe in her husband. I chose wrong. You chose love. That's never wrong. The timing was just complicated. She pulled back. Are we okay? You and me, I touched her face. We're getting there. These things take time. I have time. So do I. After dinner, I stood at my window. March rain streaked the glass, making Chicago's skyline waver and blur. Behind me, Sarah's laughter, forced brightness, Ethan's game sound effects, Nathan's tiny voice from the iPad, running water, Michael silent at his assigned task. I didn't turn around, just watched rain. My reflection showed a man who looked older than 71. Lines deeper, shoulders heavier. Did I win families together? Sort of. Everything's fine, sort of. The rain continued. Chicago's perpetual rain, washing nothing away, just making everything gray. I thought about the photo, burned now, gone. Except it wasn't gone. Would never be gone. Michael knew I'd seen it. That was enough. The prison was psychological, permanent uncertainty. That was the revenge, not destruction, control, forever. I breathed out, finally turned from the window, rejoined my family. Sarah smiled at me. Genuine, damaged, but genuine. Ethan paused his game. Grandpa, you okay? Yeah. Kiddo. Just thinking about what? About how lucky I am to have you all here. Michael glanced at me from the sink. Our eyes met for 1 second. Understanding passed. He knew he was beaten. I knew I'd won. But it cost. Neither of us spoke. The moment passed. We returned to the gathering. The truce held for now. Always for now. But my daughter was here, safe. Ethan was protected. The trust was secure. Not the ending I imagined. Just the ending I got. This quiet, careful, cracked but standing family dinner on a rainy Tuesday in March. The victory was in accepting that and choosing family. Anyway, I poured myself more wine, listened to my daughter laugh, watched my grandson play games I'd never understand. And outside, the rain kept falling. As the rain persisted outside, I reflected on our fragile peace. Charles had won a bittersweet victory, safeguarding his family at great personal cost. The trust remained secure, Sarah found strength in truth, and Ethan grew wiser beyond his years. Yet scars lingered, a reminder that love demands vigilance. In the end, family endured, cracked but unbroken. What do you think of Charles's choices? Share your impressions in the comments below. Did his methods cross a line, or were they justified? Drop your thoughts, questions, or similar stories we'd love to discuss and exchange ideas. Engage with the channel by liking and subscribing for more tales of resilience. For the next story, click the box on the left. Thank you for watching.